TMZ goes on to News Nation to talk about the scathing interview that they had with Tania talking about Harajuku Barbies. It's very, very interesting, but they also say something about a tape.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal.
What's up? We all know everything that's been going on revolving around Diddy has been wild. It's getting very dark, and then it's also just been spinning off the doggone planet. But something happened last night, or something happened yesterday, but they talk about it last night on Banfield's show on News Nation, where TMZ interviews Tania. She is a woman that was sent to a Diddy party, saw some littles dressed as Harajuku Barbies, and then, of course, lucky for her, she was able to escape or to get away from the party before everything got even more freaky. All right. Now, Ashley Banfield brings on Harvey from Harvey Levin from TMZ to talk about this, because he talks about not only just the interview that he had with Tania, but also some more information about a tape that I if I'm understanding, that they actually saw too, which is very, very interesting. So we got to get into this interview. This is pretty crazy stuff. So let's just rock and freaking roll.
Tania Wallace, who claims she's been at a freak off and said she saw children, and it was hard for her to say it.
It was very hard for her to say it, Ashley. So what she said was that she was flown out from LA to Miami by the Saudi prince. And they ended up eventually on Star Island at one of Diddy's parties. She says, you know, among many other things, I mean, she goes into detail. This, she says, happened in 2018. She says that she walked into the house and there was a cluster of adults around what she described as little people. And they were dressed up as Japanese Barbies. I forgot the name. It's Harak something. You can help me out here. It's a certain type of Barbie. Anyway.
I know the name, but I've forgotten it. But go ahead.
So she explained that that they were just clustered around these little people, and I kept pushing her, and she eventually said, look, they are little people who should not be at an adult party.
Yeah, you could do the math, right? And we all saw that interview on my main channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the main channel, of course. Don't forget to hit that like button down here and subscribe here too. And of course, a lot of people are saying some things about this hoodie. You can get this. It's called the Brownstone. It's on my merch page, handmade, okay, handcrafted hoodies like this, pascalmerch.com. All right, but let's continue on.
And I pushed her, and it was apparent what she was saying is they were minors. Now, she didn't see anything specific that was going on with them other than that adults were kind of huddled around them. But
I do want to say, I have to interject. One other thing I want to say, doesn't matter, because what she describes as she's walking into this room is just absolute like hedonism. People just going to town. A lot of people in their birthday suits, a lot of different types of substances around. And then suddenly you have littles that shouldn't be in there at all. Yeah, that's illegal no matter what, but that even makes it even worse. So yeah, those littles should not have been in there at all whatsoever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're like, oh, look at how cute they look in their outfits. Hell no. In a room full of people doing the hibbity dibbity? Nah, man. Nah.
But she told just a wild story about what was going on at the house, even at 7 in the morning, that this thing apparently raged all night long.
You know, it's amazing. TMZ always gets such great scoops, and this one might be one of your best as well. You got a hold of one of the freak off tapes. Your producers have seen it. The description is, and I'll quote, it's porn directed by Diddy himself. And a male sex worker really sort of walks through what happened in the experiences that he had. They didn't sound illegal, but they sure seem to comport with a lot of the other stories that have been told.
Now, again, we've heard that story of him directing doing his own Martin Scorsese, candlelit shots and stuff like that, with Cassie being the star of these videos. So I'm not surprised if he has a thing, an appetite for that voyeur type of approach to things, if you get what I'm saying. But this is very interesting, is it not?
Yeah. So this was a threesome. What you would ask me about earlier about Tania Wallace, she said there were more than 100 people at that party, including at least 4 celebrities. But this, what you're talking about now, was a threesome, and that's something that the U.S. attorney even referenced. And his lawyer in an earlier documentary we did, he was describing threesomes. He says it was all consensual. So yes, what we're told is that this male sex worker was flown out to various locations over a couple of years: Miami, New York, Los Angeles, and one other. And they would meet in hotel rooms, and Diddy would often watch as he would have sex with this woman who was associated with Diddy. So that seems to be what the feds are looking at right now in terms of alleged sex trafficking, if they are transporting somebody and perhaps paying them to cross state lines. That could end up being part of sex trafficking. Now, we know that this guy got a subpoena, and he ended up not testifying before the grand jury, but talking to prosecutors, and we're told that he left that tape with them.
And in fact, if he was transported.
Hold on. So now they're saying that that actual tape is in the possession of the feds right now, and that's big. That's big. So that's good to know that that footage is in the possession of the feds. I'm still wondering about Courtney Burgess too. I know a lot of us are still having that lingering in the back of our minds too. Is there something connected? Do they have the footage? Do they have the thumb drives that he says that he has with everything on it, including Kim Porter's original manuscript? I don't know. We have not heard any confirmation of that, at least from what I've heard so far. But hopefully we'll hear something about that very soon here. Let's continue.
If he was even consensual in that setup, you're right. That is sex trafficking. It's classic federal crime to cross state lines for the purpose of selling sex.
No doubt.
But it also comports just with the description of many of the other incidents that did sound illegal, where there was, heavy intoxication involved in some of these incidents. But the setup sounded very similar. There was something else that was so revealing in your interviewing with 2 friends of Diddy's who seemed very defensive of Diddy. Stevie J, a producer and a friend, and Ray J, an entertainer and a friend of Diddy. No matter how many times you ask the question, both of them seemed to deflect. I never took part in any of it, and yet they were so close to him and seemed to suggest that famous people are paying off victims to keep their names out of the Diddy story.
Well, Ray J as much as said that to me, that he said that there were celebrities confiding in him, that they were either approached by either the man, woman, or their lawyer, or they actually went to the person themselves and offered money for silence. That's what Ray J is saying. Now, I will say that we interviewed Tony Busby as well. He is the Houston lawyer who is representing more than 120 alleged victims. And he told me that, yes, they have sent demand letters out to various other people, high-profile people, and it's essentially an ultimatum. Either pay up or we're going to sue.
And that is very, very true. We just read that in a previous video that I just dropped just a little bit ago. So check that out after you watch this video here. But it is very interesting nonetheless to look at this information and hear TMZ actually say, yes, producers have actually seen, producers on over here and reporters over here for TMZ have actually seen a tape that it looks like it's a group gathering of 3 people. it's Diddy directing everything, telling them what to do and all that stuff. And of course, it would be content that he would use for later on to get it on with a partner, in a consensual type of manner. That's from what they're saying. One of the things that I am very interested about is how they're going to prove without a shadow of a doubt that, as far as Diddy's team, how they're going to prove without a shadow of a doubt that any of these things were consensual. If not all of his encounters were consensual. That's the main thing I think a lot of us are wondering about too. How's he going to be able to successfully sit there and show that he did no crimes except for moving people across state lines for S type of work, okay? Because that definitely is a crime. He can't deny that. He can't dodge that. He is committing crimes for that, for show. But as far as all these victims stepping forward and all that, how is he going to be able to prove that? So that's one of the questions I have as well. But it's crazy to think that they actually do or had in their possession a chance to this particular tape and giving more details surrounding that particular tape. Of course, in the video, she, you can even hear it from Ashley Banfield herself. She's saying, hey, it could have been consensual. There is potentially nothing illegal going on in the video. Okay. If people want to get together like that and it's consensual, then there's nothing illegal about it. But it is interesting nonetheless. And I'm interested to see how his team is going to be able to prove and plant that seed in the jury's mind that without a shadow of a doubt, these things were consensual. It's very interesting. And, but also at the same time, the fact that there were allegedly littles at these parties when they shouldn't be at these parties at all, it is pretty mind-blowing and sad. And then it makes you wonder, why didn't anyone just call 911, leave an anonymous tip to save some of these kids, or if not all these kids, from this type of situation, if that story is true? It's a lot to think about. There's a lot to digest, and obviously this stuff is getting darker and darker. It's getting pretty crazy. But of course, we're going to keep an eye on it, and of course, if there's more information, we'll talk about it. But comment down below, let me know your thoughts. What do you think of TMZ's deep dive into this and all that? And I will say this too: Soft White Underbelly is really the first person to break the story of the littles and all that. With Tania Wallace, she was on there for a while talking about her encounters with these freak offs and with Diddy. So yeah, TMZ is putting it out here now, but it's been out here on the internet for a minute. Just want to give credit where credit is rightfully due. Okay, respectfully. But anyway, guys, that is the show, or that's the video. Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Hit that like button down below. Don't forget to crush that subscribe button. We'll be talking soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.